Well, unless a deal is reached today, the government shutdown will reach the 2-week mark midnight tonight. Negotiations on border security funding are set to resume later this morning when congressional leaders from both parties head to the White House to meet with President Trump. The president wants roughly $5 billion for a border wall, but Democrats say that they will not meet his demands. Meanwhile, Speaker Pelosi announced last night that she has invited President Trump to deliver his State of the Union address on Tuesday, January 29th, before a joint session of Congress. Paula Reed joins us now from the White House to talk about the latest and what's going to be happening today. So, Paula, Democrats passed legislation to reopen the government yesterday, but Republicans in the Senate are likely to reject it. So, basically because it doesn't have any funding for the border wall. Bring us up to speed. Both sides are going to be meeting at the White House today. What can we expect?
That's right. I mean, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said that anything the president won't sign is a non-starter. The president is demanding money for his physical border wall. And before today, the White House has said that Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi would not come to the table, would not strike a deal or negotiate with them because she had not yet secured her speakership. They argue that she was refusing to compromise because she was worried about alienating any liberal bloc votes to secure that speakership. But that's a pretty big assumption, Anne-Marie. There's no indication that she's going to come to this meeting in a short time suddenly ready to compromise. The one place where we have seen perhaps a little bit of wiggle room is on the amount of money the president is seeking. He suggested 2 days ago that he may be willing to do it for less than $5.6 billion. We also know Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney has also told us that the White House has offered something less than $5 billion as a compromise. But again, it seems to be that we're at an impasse over whether or not the president should get any money for a border wall. Just the only place I have seen them willing to move at all is the amount.
Yeah, I think Nancy Pelosi said that she would be willing to give $1 for a border wall. And border security, yeah, she'll invest in, but the border wall, absolutely not. So President Trump made his case for the border wall yesterday in a press briefing. People were shocked. It wasn't a briefing that had been pre-planned. He sort of showed up with very little notice, but he took no questions at all. What do you suppose his strategy is here?
Yeah, it's not cool to come to the briefing room and have everyone assemble, get all our crews and our technicians set up, and then not take any questions. But you've seen twice in the past about 48 hours, the president has sought out cameras. The first time was at his 100-minute-long cabinet meeting, and then you saw him yesterday come to the briefing room. It seems that he is feeling the heat a little bit on the shutdown, the responsibility, the plurality of Americans who believe he is responsible, and he's trying to use the cameras to speak to the American people, to make his case, not just about a physical border wall, but broaden this out in terms of complete border security. But it's not clear, Anne-Marie. Yesterday he came to the briefing room, he stuck to familiar talking points, he didn't take any questions. He spoke for a short time. It's really unclear whether this appearance would change the hearts and minds of people who believe he is responsible for the shutdown or appease the people who are not getting their paychecks.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of who's responsible for the shutdown, or at least who the public deems responsible, is either party taking a greater political risk the longer this shutdown continues? You know, 1 week without a paycheck, most people can kind of get by. But when you get into 2 and 3 weeks, bills start coming up and it's going to get ugly.
Absolutely, and it's not just the paychecks. There are, of course, services that constituents depend on. We're getting into tax season. There could be problems with people getting their refunds. And historically, Anne-Marie, most political leaders would not want to be seen as being responsible for a shutdown like this. They would not want the appearance that they could not govern for really good reason. But here it's different. We live, as we know, in extraordinary times. And right now for Democrats, they're looking at a very favorable Senate map in 2020. And they believe there are some political advantages to picking this fight with the White House and that they really don't have much of an incentive to bend on this. Now, the White House tends to see things similarly. They also believe that they cannot back down from this. This was the wall and having Mexico pay for it. That was a signature campaign promise. What the president is seeking, that is, of course, a variation on that. He's seeking the border wall, but taxpayers would pay for it. And they just don't think it would be a good idea for him to back off of this campaign promise. So, Anne-Marie, it appears that we may be in this for the long haul.
Oh, man, that is not good news. Paula, thank you so much.